Another Target shakeup, midway in the Ontario election, and photography from the Rift Valley. I'm Madeleine White. Welcome to Globe Now. There have been more big changes at Target Canada. Today, the Canadian president, Tony Fisher, has been fired. The company is bringing in a 15-year Target veteran, who they hope can solve all of the headaches facing Canadian operations. Some of the major issues have included pricing and stock problems. Canadian shoppers were initially irked by the fact that prices were higher than American Targets. And for those who did go in and shop, they found little stock. Soon, Target was plagued with reports of bare shelves that it couldn't shake. This led to a blow in Target's profits in Canada. At the end of 2013, the company posted nearly $1 billion loss. This negative number is particularly disappointing since Target executives had forecasted that they'd be in the black by the fourth quarter of 2013. So how does Target turn this ship around, and what do we know about the new president? Well, his name is Mark Schindel, and he is being promoted from Senior Vice President of Merchandising Operations. He is also known for his work launching new store formats in the United States. And in addition to his expertise, the company is also creating a new position to help devise strategy for the company's Canadian efforts. This Canadian chair will be expected to advise Schindel on the marketplace in Canada. But will this be enough to save it? It's not clear, but we should have a better understanding of how bad things really are on Wednesday. That's when the company will announce its first quarter results. Stay with us. Up next, we talk to Adam Radwanski about momentum in the Ontario election. Politics is often about perception, poll numbers, and popularity. But where do the leaders in the Ontario election stand now that we're about halfway through this 5-week campaign? Well, our Ontario politics columnist, Adam Radwanski, joins me now to discuss. So, Adam, where do the latest poll numbers kind of show the party's breakdown?
They're a little bit all over the map. I think one thing they show fairly consistently is the NDP running in third place. Beyond that, you've got some showing the Liberals ahead and some showing the Tories ahead, so it's hard to say. One thing I find interesting is that most polls will still tell you there's a lot of room for movement between the Liberals and the NDP, which is sort of one of the key battles of this campaign. So I think we'll see a lot more movement there, or potential for movement there. But in general, it's very hard to read exactly how the Liberals and the Tories stack up right now.
Are you surprised by the results so far?
I'm a little surprised the NDP's had trouble getting out of the gate, considering they are the ones who effectively triggered the election. I'm not surprised that it's close between the Tories and the Liberals. I guess I'm also a little surprised just how all over the map the poll numbers really are. But I guess recent elections probably should have conditioned us for that as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So speaking of Andrea Horwath specifically, what does she need to do to kind of recapture the attention of the public?
Yeah, I mean, she's really been kind of pushed out in the first couple weeks of the campaign. And I think that was exactly the Liberals' hope, and she's got to address that somehow. I think partly it's that she's got to roll out more policy. I think we're going to see her platform, so she says, probably by the end of this week, which will give her more to talk about. They're going to have to use advertising and other methods too, just to get more attention. I think they've really allowed themselves to kind of leave the main battles between the other two parties, partly because they haven't been talking that much about policy. Not the policy necessarily always drives campaigns, but the Tories have proposed some very controversial stuff. The Liberals are campaigning on a whole budget, and the NDP is kind of over here to the side with fairly marginal stuff that doesn't really fit into a good debate. They've got to find a way to edge their way into that debate somehow.
Fair enough. And I mean, you mentioned that Tim Hudak has kind of been grabbing a lot of headlines with his attention-grabbing policies. Would you say that he has momentum right now?
He seems to. I mean, it depends on your definition of momentum, I guess, because it's hard to tell from the numbers. I mean, some will tell you that they're moving well and some won't. If, though, you're looking at is he dominating the headlines and is he kind of driving the news cycle? Yes. And I think the Tories would have to say, whether it's working or not, we'll find out. They would have to say, though, that whatever their plan was for the first couple of weeks of the campaign, they seem to have executed it. They clearly wanted him to be the guy at the center of attention for the first couple of weeks, the guy who everybody's talking about. They've achieved that.
Interesting. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So we want to hear from you. Are you surprised by the picture the polls are painting so far? Do you think one of the leaders is poised to take control and run away with this campaign? Let us know on Twitter. We're at Globe Now. And now on to our next story. Dominic Nair has spent the last 5 years photographing the people and landscape of Africa's fertile Rift Valley, capturing images of both beauty and conflict. The Canadian educated photographer's work is currently being shown as part of the Contact Photo Festival in Toronto. Take a look.
My name is Dominic Nair, and I'm a photographer with Magnum Photos. I'm sort of always looking for home. I grew up in Asia, I grew up in Hong Kong, so I'm always a foreigner. I landed in Rwanda and the door opened and the air just felt different, and the ground had some sort of energy. I don't know how to explain it. And I haven't felt that anywhere else but along the Rift. And I think instantly I felt the connection. I was always looking for something like that, and I found it there. I love living there. I also love shooting there, but at some point I get a little confused because sometimes you want to live in a place and it becomes really home and it's hard to work. And I think some of these pictures I was really trying to get away from the news pictures and the news stories. I wanted to find the magic visually of how I felt inside. So that meant climbing a volcano, that meant going to the salt plains, that meant just looking for other pictures that represented how I felt about the place. My mother gave me my first camera. She told me to go out into the world and photograph so I wouldn't forget. And I think these photographs, all of them represent sort of my memory. Every one of them sticks to me, and I know exactly how it felt like and what happened around that picture.
Well, that's it for today's show. We want to hear from you. Do you think you'll give Target Canada another try now that there's new leadership? Get onto Twitter and let us know. Or are you an Ontario voter who is upset with how the campaign is going so far? Tweet us at Globe Now. I'm Madeleine White. Thanks for watching.